Hey guys, what's going on? This is DJ TLM. You're watching DJ TLM TV, and this is part 4 of my mix tutorial series. Now today I want to talk to you about timing, but first I got to mention one thing. If you're new to mixing and you haven't seen part 1, 2, and 3, please go check those first. And even more importantly, check out this video right here, my how to count music tutorial. This is a very important video because I explain how to count music and I talk about beats, bars, and phrases, and this information is essential if you want to understand what I'm going to talk about in this video today. So please check those first. Now, like I said, timing. In the last video, part 3, I talked about beat matching and I showed you how to beat match by ear. So you make sure that the tempo of the two songs is the same in order to make a smooth transition. Now, beat matching is important, but it's just one part of the mixing process. What's even more important, after you have the tempo of the two tracks aligned, have them synced, you got to make sure that you start the transition at the right point. And what I mean by that is, if you have one song playing, it's not that there's just one place where you can do your mix. You can choose plenty of different spots in a song where you do the mix, but you got to get the count right. You got to start it on the one. You got to start it at the start of a phrase to make it work right. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of examples, let you hear some tracks so we can check out the structure of the songs. That's why it's so important that you realize what beats, bars, and phrases are. Once you start to see the structure of songs, it starts to make a lot more sense where your transition should begin and what I mean when I say that you need to drop it on the one. So let's listen to a couple of songs and I'm going to count along and let you hear the change of the phrases, and we'll start with this one right here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Right there, there's a switch, there's a new phrase, and now a sound has been added. So let's continue. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. All right, pretty clear. In this case, we're dealing with 8-bar phrases. After the first 8 bars with just drums, a sound was added. And after the second 8 bars, so a new phrase of 8 bars, once those 8 bars were done, it went into the break. So this song has a structure that's made out of 8-bar phrases. Let's check this one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, also just drums right now, 7, 8. There you go. New phrase, and in this case also a sound has been added. Now it's not always that you get new sounds, sometimes sounds get taken out after a couple of bars. In this case, the sound got added. 7, 8. All right, in this case, these two songs have exactly the same build-up. They have 8-bar phrases. They both started with just drums. After that, a sound was added. And after that phrase, it went into the breakdown of the song. So definitely a similar structure. And you can find this structure in a lot of songs, especially in dance music. Normally, I play a lot of hip-hop and R&B. And it's even more important when you're dealing with vocal tracks because with, for instance, a hip-hop song, the structure most of the times will consist of a start where it starts with the melody or with the beat for a couple of bars, like 4 or 8 bars. Then the vocals will begin and you have a verse. After that verse, you get a hook. Then you get another verse. Then you get another hook. And because you're dealing with tracks that all have vocals, you got to make sure that you get the timing right. Because once the verse is done and a hook begins, you want to make the transition at that point because a lot of times that hook will have the same length as the beginning part of the other song that you're going to mix into it. Not always. That's why you need to know your music, like I told you in part 2, so you can count and make sure that you have enough time to make the transition work. So this might still sound a little bit complicated. So what I'm going to do now, I showed you the structure of these two songs, and because they change after 8 bars and they both do the same thing, it makes a lot of sense to make sure that they start at the same point. Now, what I mean by that is not that they start from the beginning at the same time, but if that song is playing or this song is playing and it's going on and it's changing every 8 bars, you want to make sure that you start this song at a fresh phrase. So what I want to do right now is show you what happens if you blend these two tracks, make a transition, and you start it at a right point. But before I make the transition, we got to do one thing, and that is make sure that the tempo is the same. So let me check that right now. That one is way too slow, so let me speed it up. No, more. A little bit better, a little bit more. Nope, a little bit slower. All right, that's close enough. Might not be perfect yet, but it's close enough right now. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys an example of how to do it the right way. So this song is playing, and I'm going to make a transition from that song to this song. 5, 6, 7, 8. Check it out. 7, 8. They both went into a next phrase. At the end of this phrase, this track is done, and this one is going into the break. 7, 8. All right, so what happened there is I made a transition, started with that song, and I made sure I kept track of the count. And it doesn't matter where the song is, I just make sure that I keep track of the count, that I hear where it is so I know when the new phrase begins. And I started this track at the beginning of a new phrase on this song. And what happened was, by the time this one got to the end, exactly timed at the end, that one was exactly at the break. So it might make sense to you, it might not yet. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make the same transition, but this time I'm gonna start this track not on the 1, but I'm gonna start it on a 2. Let's see what happens. So the track's playing. Bring this one back to the beginning. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Right now, you can't tell if it's right or wrong. You can hear the kicks on that one. The tempo is the same, so it sounds all right. This one just switched to a next phrase. That one switched later, but if you don't know the song, you might not even notice it. But check it out. This one is about to end. 8. Now what happened there is that one was done. At that point, this one should go into a new phrase, and in this case, the break. But because I started it at the wrong count, it didn't go to the break, but we had 4 more beats, an entire bar, before it hit the break. Now you gotta understand, when people are listening to music, they're not doing any math, they're not counting music, but there is a certain feeling, and you do, in a sense, feel or know when something is supposed to happen, especially if a DJ is doing a mix and you're all into the song that is playing and you've heard the different changes in the song. You have a feeling that lets you know when something new should be beginning. And in this case, that break should have started, but it didn't because I did not do the timing right. That's why it's so essential to know how to count music and how to recognize the structure of songs. And I'll admit, I've seen a lot of DJs that could beat match by ear and get the tempo right, but I was puzzled to see that they would start their mix at strange points. At least they were strange points to me because the count didn't add up. Just they started at the wrong point. So I hope that illustrates it a little bit, but what I want to do right now is go to another example. All right, so I have 2 more tracks now. These are a little bit different when it comes to the tempo, and let's listen to them first, see if you can recognize the structure, And after that, I'll show you another example of how to make sure you get the count right. Now, here we go. I'll count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let me take that back straight away and see if you notice this. Now, what you have there is a track that doesn't start with the beat, but it has sort of a little intro pre-count type of thing going on, and it is in the same tempo, so you can count how long it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But this, that is where the drums begin, that is where the beat begins, and that is where your count should begin. So that is something you need to look for when you listen to songs, if where that beat begins is really the start where you should be counting. So in this case, my count should start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, after 8 bars, you get that switch. New phrase, different beat pattern with more samples in there. And if we continue that count, 2 more, 7, 8. It switches again. So, and in this case, it's really just different patterns. So the sound gets taken in, gets taken out. But because I recognize that intro, I started my count at the right point, and you could tell that every time I did 8 bars, there was a switch, a significant difference. So that shows you that that's where the phrases change. So I hope that's clear. Let's check out the other song right here.
Run that.
All right, it doesn't start with a beat, but you can count this. So let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, definite tempo there, 7, 8, 1. Same thing, after 8 bars, you get a switch. Even though it doesn't start with a beat, you can still count that it's an 8-bar phrase in the beginning, so you can definitely use that in your mix. Now let's finish this one. 7, 8. And again, a new sound got added and it's clear. You have, again, 8-bar phrase structure. Now, it's not always 8 bars, but in a lot of songs you do have that 8-bar structure. And sometimes you have to realize that phrases might just have a very slight difference. They might not be all that different. It's not that it's going to be a major change every phrase. But especially in the buildup of a song, you do get a lot of times, you get that it starts basic and then stuff gets added. But again, quite easily recognizable if you count it the right way. So again, now you know the structure of the songs, and this allows you to pinpoint the right spot to do your mix. But here's a very important thing. If you're going to use this track right here, and you want to throw it into a mix, you do have to realize that the start of the beat is here. So either when you do your mix, you start it from this point, or if you want to start it here, we counted this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1 bar. So you could also choose to start it from that point, but that means that you have to start it 1 bar early. So if this track is playing and you know that it's an 8-bar phrase, when you get to bar 7, you have to keep it ready, because as soon as that 8-bar hits, you have to throw that in. I'll show you. First things first though, almost forgot again. We got to do the beat matching. So let me match up the tracks. Make sure they're right. Too slow, I can tell. Pretty close. A little too fast, I think. All right, that's close enough. I can work with that. So let me take that one back and let's do the transition. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna have this one playing and I'm gonna do the transition by adding this track. But like I said, I'm gonna start it from that intro part, so I need to start it 1 bar early to make it work. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4. Perfect fit. After this phrase right here, that one is done and that one goes into a new phrase. So that worked perfectly. I started this one 1 bar early. So when the drums came in, they came in on the 1 of that new phrase. So imagine if you don't recognize this as being an intro and you would start your count here. You would do this, and this is wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1? No. 1. So you're going to be in the wrong spot if you start that count at the beginning. I hope that clears it up a little bit. And I feel that this is something that is not looked at enough. Not a lot of people talk about the essence of timing and keeping track of your count. And I make it sound like this is a mathematical thing. And in the beginning, it might be a little bit. But in all honesty, after you do that for a while, you're not counting anymore. I don't count when I'm mixing. It goes just by nature. It's second nature to me now. So in your head, you already realize the count. So I can tell straight away, okay, I have this much time before I have to start my next track. And especially if you know your music, and I work with a lot of vocal music, it's even easier because you know the songs, you know the verses, and you know where the hooks begin. Let me show you one more example. I have a track right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. And that's where the drums come in. So in this case, you have 4 bars. It's a clear intro. It's a build-up intro. Now, if you're gonna mix this into a song that's already playing, I would not start where the drums start, but I would really use that intro. So if you have a track playing here that has 8-bar phrases, and for instance, the hook begins and it's a 8-bar hook, and you know that this is a 4-bar intro, you let that hook play for 4 bars, and at the start of the 5th bar, you add this one. So this hook has 4 more bars. That intro is 4 bars. So when the hook is done, the drums on this one will begin. So that's what it's all about. And in the beginning, yes, it will definitely feel like you're doing math, but especially if you know your songs and it's songs that you play on a regular, you're not going to look at it as math anymore. It's going to become second nature, and it's going to feel natural to do that the right way. Once you see that it's so logical to make sure that the tracks not only match by tempo, but that they're matching when it comes to the phrases, you're going to make more beautiful music with it. So I definitely hope this info helps you out. This is a little more complicated than some of the other videos. And yes, when I was doing the transitions, I kept everything in the middle. So I was not using effects and I was not using my EQ because that's coming in the upcoming videos. So if you have any questions about what I did today, if you want to see some more, you know where to find me, DJ TLM TV at djtlm.com. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And if the info helped you out, make sure to hit that thumbs up. All right, guys, DJ TLM signing off. I'll see you next time. Peace.